Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
First world, come in and take a seat. Pay us no attention, it's all conspiracy. We have satire and parody, some funny, some perverse. If none of it's offensive to you, you'd be the first.
I'm a setting sun, but I'll never run. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I will stay and fight as long as I'm alive. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. Till I die. And kill till I die.
The Madness Comic Network and Comic Related Madness proudly presents Madness Tuesday Morning Brew. Tune in to our content on Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday. I am Laurie Calcaterra, writer, creator, leader, all that jazz for Path of the Pale Rider, your favorite zombie Western apocalypse story. I am here today. We're going to drink some coffee and dish with another creator. I'm really looking forward to this show because his comic is just as warped as mine is. But first, let's do some shout outs and let's, whoop. How about that? Is that better? Getting a little excited, talking right into the mic. I just wanted to say, let's give some updates about Path of the Pale Rider. We are still in the queue for print. You know, it's really doing my best to stay patient, as we all are. For anybody that's a creator that's like me, and it's just like I want to take charge and get everything done, and I do my part, and then it's like having to wait until someone else does things, and it's frustrating, but it is what it is. All the printers are backed up. Shout out to my girl Carissa Grant. She's having worse problems than I am getting print stuff done, but it is what it is. Hers is coming, I think today or tomorrow, so she should have some stuff. But it's like you order stuff back in December, you order stuff in January, and it's not here yet. But what can you do? Kind of can't really control that part, so it is. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for the books to print, I did start working on the next campaign. I'm itching to start on issue number 3. So we have, I updated our website. Here, guys, take a look. So I changed it around. We actually have a shop, which is cool. I put our commercial. Our pre-launch link is here. So if you guys have not signed up to be notified upon launch, you definitely want to do that. We have all sorts of links. I have the art. Of course, you have seen a lot of this if you've been following Path of the Pale Rider. This is issue 1, some variants. I'm just going to go quick. Issue 2, I'm going to preview variants. That one's by Rich. And of course, we have some extra art. The Choose Your Own Adventure, the Funkos. I'm working on some prototype discs, some promo art, some brittles. So we have all, I mean, like there's the new links, but most importantly, what I worked on is the shop. So before, what I had was just basically a list of items, and you could, you know, you'd have to talk to me and then it would go through my PayPal. It was kind of confusing. So I actually went in and I made an actual shop. So not only can you order previous, you know, issues and merch, it makes it real easy to add a cart. I have issue number 2 on sale right now. Since that's going to print, you guys can pick up a physical copy if you haven't gotten one already. The t-shirts are there. T-shirt, the Choose Your Own Adventure is there. I don't even have like digital downloads. So when you purchase these, it actually, you could download it immediately. You don't have to contact me or anything. So it makes it really easy just to like go through there, and you know, it's fabulous. It took me a long time to figure out taxes and shipping and getting it all to work right, but it works. So we got, you know, one place where you can see the riddles and watch all the short films. I'm really excited to grow this. Issue number 3, we've already started filming the short film. I've had a lot of people interested in participating. If you are interested in participating, please let me know, because I need to have film, you know, at the beginning of March to make sure that we have enough time to edit it and get it ready for the next Kickstarter. Yeah, so that's really exciting. Shout out to Alex and Brian, who were in from Portland, because they actually volunteered to let me film them doing some crazy things for the short film. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So that's kind of wrapping up our updates. Oh, I have one more. If you guys love the Funko Pops, the Big James, I've talked to my Etsy seller, who is a sculptor for those, because they're so complicated and because we have a time frame to turn them around for the next Kickstarter, we're limiting those to 5. So if you want to get your hands on one of those very limited edition Big James Funko Pops, I recommend that you sign up for that pre-launch. Yeah, let me see if I can pull up a picture real quick, Vic. I'll show you. But we have custom-made Funko Pops. There's a Jude St. Clair one, and then our newest one was Big James the Undead Bear. And there's only going to be 5. There's only 5 people that can get their hands on those. I know those are going to go quick. So I just, if you are one of those people that wants those Funkos, make sure you are signed up. So as soon as we go live, you can get in there and save yours, because that's it. Like at the next Kickstarter, we're moving on to a different one. Come on, you. Of course, the computer wants to take its time. Let me share this page so I can stop this one. Do. Yeah, custom Funkos. Look at this guy. There he is. So that's the Big James Undead Bear. His head is so big that it's a separate piece. And there he is next to the Jude St. Clair. This is the issue, the second issuing of the Jude St. Clair. So he's a little bit different than the original ones. He has the squinty eyes, which I think is really cool. So yeah, make sure that you sign up for that pre-launch. I know we dropped it in the chat. Just to make sure you want this guy, you get him right away. He's a little more expensive than the Jude St. Clair one because he's bigger and more complicated. But if you want him, please go grab him because he's going to sell out. And that's that. Let me get rid of this guy. We'll bring in our guest for today. Hello, this is Doug from Arsenic Lullaby. Hello, Doug.
Hi.
How are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm about right there, sir. It's been an interesting February, so it's like, what can we do? Fake it till we make it, I guess.
Yeah, it's been cold and snowy.
Well, where are you located?
Milwaukee.
Okay. I used to be in Michigan, and I'm in Texas, about an hour north of Dallas. We get like 1 week of winter and then we're done. So I really like that we're past winter now. It is 69 degrees. It's supposed to go up to 80. So come on down. Come on down to Dallas. Get away from the cold.
Oh, isn't that nice?
You're like, shut up.
Yeah. Gee whiz, that sounds fun.
I know. My sister moved to Texas like 10 years before we did. And it was the same thing. When we were in Michigan, it was like snowing and just a disaster. She'd be like, it's 85 and we're in the pool. We're all like, shut up. With love, darling, but shut up.
Yeah.
So I feel you. For everybody that doesn't know Doug, he is a comic book creator just like myself. Lots more experience than me, though. Writes a comic book called Arsenic Lullaby. Why don't you tell viewers who you are, your background, what you're about? Is that too much? Too much for this morning? You need some more coffee.
Well, see, I thought I'd gotten up an hour early. I thought I had an hour to get my S together. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you can. It's fine.
Okay. I had an hour to get my act together, and then I remembered, oh wait, they're an hour ahead. So really, I've been awake for about 20 minutes.
Shoot. You and I think, are in the same time zone, but I never know where everybody is. So I always say like it's 11 a.m. Eastern. So you probably thought 11 a.m. our time. But then it's 10 a.m. our time.
Yeah, well, I had figured that out, and then my brain kept deleting that information, and then I go, no, it's an hour ahead, and my brain would delete that, and yeah. So anyhow, this is always a part of a live stream where, like, okay, who am I? I'm a guy, independent publisher. I draw Arsenic Lullaby. I've worked for Mad Magazine. I've done an issue of The Tick. I don't know. I've done a bunch of stuff. I've been to and fro across the world of comic dumb. Dumb. Let's emphasize the dumb in comic dumb. In this industry of dullards and people who refuse to succeed.
Refuse to succeed? You're just too damn stubborn to quit?
Just there's no virtue. They just clog up the works for other people and just clop along in their mediocrity. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
We're going to stay really positive on this show, right?
How are you doing, everybody? Everything's great.
Hey.
Everything's great. Stores aren't shutting down to left and right. We're good. Full steam ahead.
Okay. Which show were we on when we first met? And then I think it was Pops that was giving you a hard time about not being able to find Arsenic Lullaby. I was like, well, I'm just Googling it. All this stuff came up.
Yeah, it was the Pops Clusterfuckorama show. I think we were on. There were 78 squares.
That's what that comic's from.
Yeah, people talking at once. 1,000 little squares on your screen. Good old Pops. Good old Pops. Hey, why don't you come in? Okay, I thought like I'm just screen number 48. Like, what are you doing to me? What are you doing?
He's gonna come on here and tell you off.
What are you doing, man? Look at this guy. This guy doesn't even have the respect for us to show us his face. It's just an icon.
Don't pick on Pops. If he wants to be behind the screen, he is free to do that. Everybody has a bad hair day.
You got something to say to them, Rock? Huh? What?
Puppy.
Oh, now you're going to be quiet?
Yeah, of course. You put him on the spot.
Oh, what? Come here. Yeah, that's what I think too.
He said, "Fluff you." I don't know.
Thanks for checking in, Pops. Checking in. Have your dog also.
Show to people. Gonna be that
Also
kind of
wanted
show.
his pet to bust my balls too.
I think you guys have this ongoing frenemy thing, so it's fun.
I love him. He's a great guy.
Yeah, everybody loves Pops, and if they don't, something wrong with them. So, tell me about your time with Mad. Was it Mad Comic? Wait, which one?
Mad Magazine?
Yes, thank you. My brain stopped working for a second. When were you there?
Oh, I don't know. Let me think here. A while ago? Time is a blur. Time was a blur before 2020, and now it's just like everything before that is just this like snow globe of memories that were shaken up, and I don't know how. I don't know. Herbert Hoover was president then. I don't know. It's all just a mess. It was in the before time, in the long ago.
I had a theory about that. I was talking with someone about how time, or how we recognize time passage changed because of 2020, because so many historic things happened. It was like event after event after event, and so many of them that like we perceive time differently because of how many, you know what I mean? And it's like, I felt like 2021 was just a continuation of that. And it's like, we're already in 2023, but 2020 seems like it was forever ago and yesterday at the same time. It's bizarre. Do you feel that way too?
That's an interesting theory because, so let's say we perceive time by an event per day or per week or per month. Like, we live our life and X amount of events happen a year. So then perhaps our brains are, wire ourselves to, okay, X amount of events happen. So this has meant it's been a year of time.
Right.
And as you say, 2020 was just a decade's worth of events clambered together. And we haven't had a decade's worth of events yet, or even, relatively speaking, we even had 6 months worth of events compared to 2020. So we can't get our head around that it's 2023, and everything before that, it could have been a year, it could have been 40 years. It's just everything. Yes, that's an interesting theory. Very interesting.
Okay, so you feel that way too. I've talked to lots of people about that, and it's kind of like this weird feeling about time and how it passed after 2020. So it's just an interesting thing that happens as a human, how we perceive time.
Yeah, well, I think everybody's time is a little screwed up, but that's the first plausible theory that I've heard as to why we're all very disoriented.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate word for that.
Yeah. I think you're onto something there. Yeah.
Well, I don't think I came up with it. My cousin Rachel came up with it. Though.
Just take credit. She's not on here.
Sure.
It's fine. Yeah.
She might be watching. I don't know. Rachel, are you here? No?
No.
No, I guess not.
Yeah.
All right, I did it. I take credit.
There you go. There you go.
So can we talk about Arsenic Lullaby?
Sure. We can talk whatever you want. I didn't really answer your question with Mad, but I did the best
I know. I was like, I can just keep throwing questions at you.
It was, I don't know. It was a while ago.
A while ago.
And I worked there for about 7 years as a freelance. And
good morning, Chris. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I left because
freelance what? Artist, writer?
I'm sorry, writer and an artist. Yeah.
Okay, so you do both.
I do both. I would send them stories. Yeah, a handful of stories. They'd pick one or two, and then I'd draw those up. And my work was evergreen, evergreen, as they say. So they would just stockpile it, use it when they needed to. So.
Gotcha.
Which was fine. Like, I was getting paid. That's great. But there was no way for me to alert fans as to, hey, my work's coming out next issue. I would find out when everyone else found out, which doesn't help me move any units for you. So if you have, in the age of social media, let's say 12 to 20 artists an issue who can't help you on social media, it's you're shooting yourself in the foot. That's just one of many ways they refuse to fucking succeed. And
are they still around, Mad Magazine?
Well, technically they put something out 4 times a year, I think, the last time I checked, but it's all reprinted material.
They're
So
just
they've just folded up. Somebody realized, look, we've got 60 years worth of stuff here, and we can just keep recycling this until they finally board up the windows for good. And so that's what they're doing.
Are they putting it just online? Are they're reprinting?
They're reprinting because when I'm in an issue, they send me my gravitas
copy
books. So it's still coming out because I get an issue when I'm in it, and I go, oh, that's wonderful. Look at that.
I mean, at least
look at that, a 10-year-old joke you're reusing. Fantastic. Good work.
It's kind of silly, but they're not, paying for new art at this point. They're just reprinting already used material, so they're making money, I guess.
I don't. Who the hell knows? I don't know.
Who the hell knows? Exactly. It's like, who knows? Who knows? But it's like, I don't think I've seen a Mad magazine since I was, I don't know, in middle school, high school.
Well, I would go to conventions and mention along with my book, when I would see someone who I thought was the age would think I'm a big deal because I'm in Mad magazine.
Yeah.
I would mention that and they would go, oh, it's still being published.
Yeah.
That was always the response. And I brought this to the attention of the editor-in-chief. I said, look, brother, you're getting more mileage out of me than I'm getting out of you, because no one's coming to my booth going, here, can you sign this copy of Mad magazine for me? No, that's not happening unless they already knew I was in it from me telling them that I'm in it.
That's funny. So it's like, do you have any kind of marketing department at this point? Probably not. If nobody knows they're still in production. I didn't know.
This is before they finally went belly up.
Yeah.
And they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. They had no fucking clue. There were a couple of younger people in that office who could have made it work, but there was a clog in the hose of progress, and that was the editor-in-chief who just, he got the job because he was next in line when the other guy passed away, and he let's just say he was a blithering idiot. Leave it at that.
Yeah. That's sad that one person can just drive off an entire creative magazine into the ground.
Drove it right into the ground. That's exactly what he did. I forget even what his name is. I think it was John. I don't know.
Do better, John. He's probably not.
John's fired. That's the important thing is
if they're belly up, there's no more John.
The upside of this story is everyone who refused to listen to me is now fired. So that is the upshot. That is the happy ending. Is none of them have a job anymore at that magazine because the magazine's gone.
I was gonna say, at least you saw the writing on the wall, like, this ain't gonna work, guys, and then do something else.
Yeah. I had an hour-long meeting with them.
Did you?
At Comic-Con, trying to get them to understand. No, this is your trip. All those gauges on this plane we're flying they're all spinning, see, and that's a bad sign. That altimeter, the needle is just buried at the edge doing ding 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 ding.
That's probably bad.
Maybe somebody should steer this thing. Maybe.
Yeah, is someone flying this plane?
It fell on.
It's the movie Airplane.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Bugs Bunny cartoon. Is this
blow up autopilot at this point?
Yeah, so they managed to take a 60-year-old iconic brand, and drive it right into the ground. Congratulations. So that's a happy story. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk about Arsenic Lullaby and concept behind it, and like how you thought of it. Let's start at the beginning. Like, how did you come up with the idea for Arsenic Lullaby?
Well, I don't know. How do you come up with an idea for anything?
I don't
Really,
know.
there was.
Like, what
I
was your inspiration?
I was doing. I did a comic book with a couple other guys. It was just a crime anthology, and it didn't. It wasn't making it. But I had learned enough to say, why don't I try this on my own? And the stories I wanted to tell were all comedy. So I just made a book of short, dark humor stories and named it Arsenic Lullaby. And it started doing well right away. And here I am.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. So there's nothing real. There's not that interesting a story behind it other than I did my best and people liked it and I kept going.
So what's the the premise? Is it a bunch of shorts? Is it an ongoing story?
It's a bunch of shorts. There's a few reoccurring characters, but it's a lot of, I write and draw it. So my attention span is not, say, a 4-page story or a 4-issue story arc. I'm not doing that. I'm not drawing the same thing for 64 effing pages.
Really.
Get in and get out. And I did stand-up comedy before that, so I sort of writing wise was more tuned in to get in, get the laughs, get the fuck out. Not long, ongoing, epic kind of story. So I think the longest story I've ever done was maybe 12 pages, 12, 13 pages. It's just
so many ideas then. For me, it's like I have like big story arcs and I want to flesh out all the characters, build the world. You're like, here's something that's fucking funny. Let's put it on 12 pages and get out.
Yeah. 12 pages. Like I said, that's the longest. 12 pages is long. And everybody has their own philosophy with writing.
Right.
But I'm just, if there's a reoccurring character, even I'm showing you the segment of his day that's entertaining. That's not a 24 hours. 24 hours of your day is not entertaining. You go through your day, maybe 10, 20 minutes of it is entertaining. So that's what you're seeing. And then move on. We'll look at them again tomorrow.
Right. When you think of something else funny.
Yeah. I'm not that interested in fleshing out every sort of thing, really. I mean, I'm working on a longer ongoing story now, but that's, it's tedious.
Sometimes it can be. I feel you. Like I get so far a lot of times, and then like I'm kind of that writer that sits down when like an idea hits me and it like all comes out, and I write like 3 and 4 and 5 issues, and then like I get to a spot where I'm stuck and I stop for like 2 months, while I try to either figure it out or I try to take my mind off of it. And then like the muse shows up usually when I'm like fast asleep, and then I wake up at 3 a.m. and have to like write because that's how it goes. So
yeah, well, also, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was
gonna say also my compass of what's entertaining the audience, it comes from stand-up. So I'm not, if it's 10, 20 pages in between a joke, I don't have the compass to know, are they still entertained? Are they still involved in this story? Is, 5 pages of build-up, is anybody still reading this? I don't have the compass to know that. I have the compass to know funny, not funny. It takes X amount to build up to this joke properly, to hit the mark properly. So I'm just worried about fine-tuning that. And if that fits into a longer story, great. And if it doesn't, it's about, did I make someone laugh or not?
That's one thing that go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay. I was just saying, like, that's one thing that I definitely don't have is the comedic timing. I find that really difficult. So for someone like you and like Lee Newman, who can write stuff that's so funny on the page, I have such respect for you guys, because it's like, it's that comedic timing, like when to let things breathe and when to like build up I don't know. I can't explain it. You can probably
it's definitely a skill set, the rhythm, the timing, the structure of a joke. A joke itself, that's just the core. Now you need to what needs to be around. What are the important elements? Which elements have to take precedent? Which have to be hidden? Yeah, it's same as telling a joke, but on a page, there's what panel should I use? How many panels is this worth? Where's the reader's eye going to be? How can I make sure the reader sees this and not that until this happens? Yeah, it's a little orchestra you have to conduct. But like I always tell people, Nick Henry. Hello, Nicholas Henry.
I love the happy face, the heart, and the skull. It fits. Thank you.
It's a mixed message there, my man. There's
Kinda
love
like
and
I
a smile
usually
and
have.
death.
I have that handle whenever I do posts on my Path of the Pill Rider. It's usually a heart and then a skull because it's like, we have like undead people in my story. So.
Oh, I see. Well, that's nice. That's a nice thing.
I was like, hey, you fit right in, Nick. Hey. You probably could teach a class on comedic timing and like elements, how to tell comedic visual stories as well.
I definitely could do that, except then I would be enabling my competition to.
That's the hard part, yeah. But I mean,
at conventions here and there, I'll give a panel on it and give people the basics and the breakdown, but nothing really more than the basics. In a sense, once you have the basics, you should be figuring out the rest yourself. I mean, if you're using my technique over and over to do this, or someone else's technique over and over to do that, that's going to get the job done, but it's not your voice. It's not you figuring things out. And this is a medium that's still young enough that you can come up with something that I haven't, or Stanley hasn't, or Jack Kirby hasn't, or Wally Wood hasn't. There's still ungrazed land here that you could figure out something that no one else has and work with that. I mean, that's what people should be trying to do. You should learn the basics. Definitely. That's real important. Even if you don't use any of the basics, you should learn them so you understand the language and why things work and why they don't. And then you should be coming up with your own ways to tell a story.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately the goal. I agree. When I was in art school, they teach art history for a reason. You know what I mean? They show you what has come before. And a lot of times one of the projects they give you is mimic the style of a certain artist. I've done that like in a photography class. I've done that in a drawing class where it's like pick a famous piece of art, mimic the style so you can learn from that and then take it somewhere else in your own voice. Because ultimately that's what we should be doing, is learning from the past, but then interpreting it into our own voice.
Yeah, and that's with any kind of skill set, or even if it's not a creative enterprise. Take like hot rodding, people who make these big monstered cars with engines from a different car and headers, and they manufacture the body and all that. They first learned how a frame is constructed, the combustion engine, how to build it and rebuild. They learned all the basics, even though they made this wild contraption monster truck. Obviously they didn't take a lot of that into what they're making, but they still had to understand that to make something. It's the same thing with the creative industry. You have to understand how all the parts fit together and how the engine works, and then you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But if you don't have that basis of knowledge, you're just going to have a mess on your hands.
Yeah, learn the rules so then you can break the rules.
Yeah, exactly. You have to understand why the rules are there, so that you can break them in a way that's effective. Otherwise, it's just going to be chaos, and not interesting chaos, just chaos.
Yeah, I feel you. And it's like, I think that goes across the board for just about anything. I can see that being applied to art, to baking, because I'm a baker. So it's like, learn the basics and then pick your own flavors and see if they work. Martial arts, because I do martial arts, learn all the basics and then see what you can do creatively to break those rules. There's so many things that we can say, learn the rules and then break the rules. Yeah, there's rules. I'll tell you what, I was breaking all the rules for lettering for a while, and then I got some really good constructive criticism because, again, it was a hot mess. It didn't make any sense. And then I learned the rules, follow the rules, and then if I choose to break the rules, I can do it artistically and it makes sense why I do it instead of breaking them all the time. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
if you don't learn the rules, you're not really breaking the rules because you
Right.
don't understand what they are. You're just you're just making a mess.
Right.
You're just not understanding what you're doing. You know,
Right.
breaking the rules implies that you know what the rules are,
Right.
in a sense.
Hey, when we were looking at this page, I wanted to bring everybody's attention to these guys down here. It's everybody's, from what I don't know if it's everybody's, but my favorite right now are these little voodoo fetuses. We were talking about funny. These are funny.
Oh, thank you.
The little voodoo fetuses.
That-
Okay, so can you explain this character to the watchers? There are people watching, so they can understand what we're talking about.
I can try to explain that. Scroll down on the page a little bit for me.
Yeah,
Let's see. Keep going.
that's as far as it goes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Scroll up.
Scroll up.
Scroll
There's this
up.
one. Scroll up.
Okay, I don't know where it is. Never mind.
Is it somewhere in here?
Maybe. Hey, you know what? I have a computer. Why don't I? Hold on a second.
Or we can Google it.
I'm not
Hold on.
hapless. I always complain to other people to just do it themselves. Hold on a second here.
I'm just gonna.
All
look
right.
up
Okay.
what it is.
Scroll down. Scroll to where it says the people that you'll meet in Arsenic Lullaby.
Okay.
Let's click on that. And then let's. Okay.
Yeah,
So if you click on that in the upper left hand corner is. Okay. Click on
This.
here. Yeah.
Voodoo Joe.
Okay. Click on that.
Is it showing the right page? No.
Is it working?
Well, it's creating new pages, so I have to share that page.
Oh, okay. Well, in any case,
Here it is. Okay. Give me a second. I'll share that one. Get out of here. Get out of here. Share screen. This one. There we go. What's that say? I got slung out of martial arts for drawing a really crappy picture of my wife with dyslexia. I thought it was marital arts. Whoops.
that's a common mistake, Nick. You know, I feel you. It happens a lot.
That's funny.
I really wish, right when you walk through the door, they would explain that better.
It's like, I know there's jujitsu going on, but that's not marital arts.
It's spelled almost the same way.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, they're not doing what you think they are. It's they're doing yoga with what are they saying? They're folding clothes with the people still in them.
Yes.
That's a fun way to think about jujitsu. I do Filipino and Indo martial arts, so just like poke you with the pointy end or hit you with sticks. That's what we do.
Oh, that's fun.
Keeps my mind sharp and my stress level down. So I feel like I need to go punch things right now.
Yeah, I often feel that.
Want to punch things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most days.
Yeah.
Most
I do
days.
too.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that disclaimer on my show in a long time. It's because Christie hasn't been on in a while. But that's a good time. That's a good time. Yeah. People, we're talking about punching heavy bags. I mean, we could, but in a controlled setting.
Sure, yeah, whatever. Is that what we're talking about? Oh, then I'm not with you. I was talking about something else.
We're not getting in trouble or anything.
No.
So
okay. So in any case, what you're looking at on the screen there?
Yes.
That gentleman, that's Voodoo Joe. He's a witch doctor. He got cursed, and he has to live in the suburbs and help people get revenge on each other. So you need zombies when you're a witch doctor. It's sort of a prerequisite. One man can only do so much, but he's got a 1-story ranch style house. He doesn't have a lot of room, so he made zombie fetuses. That way he can have a whole horde, but yet they all fit basically in a storage compartment or in the refrigerator, the vegetable crisper. You can keep them out of the way. they're not just mulling around. They're not dusty. They're knocking the stereo over. They're a lot more manageable when they're that size.
Oh my goodness, it's so funny.
So that
I think at one point you were talking about them outside doing something and they kept getting blown away by the wind.
yeah, I mean their size is a
happen?
bit of a problem, but also, there's a lot of them, so they can swarm on you like bees, like gooey bees.
Like gooey bees.
Yeah.
For those of you that have sensory overload, this is probably that time where we.
Yeah, you might want to meditate after this. So
Yeah.
that's the main. That's probably the most main character. He's probably had the most pages, the most longer, more involved stories have him. Because he's a guy you can just kind of follow around. He almost doesn't need a story.
Right.
Really, like a beginning, middle, end. He doesn't need an arc. You can just watch him do something for about 5, 6, 7 pages, and it's entertaining.
I agree.
Yeah.
He's definitely a fun character. What is he doing in this picture? He's got a tire iron and some kid smoking a cigarette, and then it's looking up from an open grave with all the feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
People often want revenge on children. When you want when you need someone else to take care of the revenge because it's something you can't bring yourself to do. So, like, let's say you hate your boss or your dickhead brother-in-law. A lot of people won't do that themselves, but most people will tell their boss off or tell their brother-in-law off. I mean, that's something people are willing to do. But a child that keeps irritating you because he's playing basketball at the crack of dawn and you work second shift. I mean, that's something you can't bring yourself. Your own sense of morality won't allow you to go over there and punch that kid in the head. So that's where Voodoo Joe comes in. He'll happily brain that kid with a tire iron.
Oh my God.
And then go about his day. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we can all see ourselves in that position, like the kid that's screaming on the airplane. The kid
sure.
That's, screaming at the restaurant.
The neighbor's dog that won't stop barking. It's all, it's all the little stuff that the darkest corner of your mind, you'd like to strangle that dog, but you can't do it. But if there's somebody next to you who goes, you know what? I could take care of that for you. You don't even have to know what happens. How about I just make that dog go away? How about that?
Yeah, that's what I was like, don't ask any questions.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice if that dog was just gone tomorrow? All right, I'm on the case. And then tomorrow the dog's gone.
So how do people pay Voodoo Joe?
Well, they don't have to see that he's cursed. He does not have a choice. He has to keep reaping revenge, which is why he's sort of rented himself out. He initially was cursed, and then he goes and extracts revenge on everyone who wronged him, and then he was done. But he still has this curse, so now he just starts to have to farm himself out to keep.
Gotcha.
The man's got a job.
Gotta do what you gotta do. He's
do,
providing a service, people.
What's that?
I said he's providing a service.
He's providing a service. Yes, exactly. He's a tradesman. When you need drywall, you or a welding, then you go to a tradesman. If you need someone to disappear in a horrific manner, then you go find Joe.
We'll find Joe. And apparently he's right down the street. He's in the bungalow.
Yeah, exactly. He's right down the road. Right down the road. Just look for the crappy van with the one gray door. That's him.
Does he have landscaping? That's my question. Does he take care of his house?
He has zombies for that.
Oh, the zombies do the yard work? How convenient.
Yep. Yeah. It takes them a while because they can only hold a scissors, but they're zombies. If they start on Tuesday, they don't finish till Thursday. It didn't cost you any time.
Right. They don't need to eat or sleep. So what does it matter?
Yeah, you're not paying
Don,
them by the hour.
Do you have a neighbor or somebody that's up at the crack of dawn mowing their lawn or dog barking?
Not currently, but I have in the past, and I'm sure I will again.
You will?
Sure I will.
I don't, thank goodness. I think it's pretty quiet on our street, so we have no need to find Voodoo Joe, but who knows? You never know who could move in down the street, right?
Right. Well, yeah, I always like to, if I can, live on a corner or at least scope the neighborhood out a little bit because I like not noise. I can,
I'm with you, man.
yeah.
Look at this. Funny.
That's
Yes,
that would be
yes.
Ike. That's his main
He has like a,
henchman.
yeah, there's a one that's in charge.
Yeah, he's named them after reindeer and ex-presidents.
Why?
I don't know.
Because it's funny.
I don't know. First thing that popped into his head is they started pouring out of the medical waste tub.
Yeah, he was like Dancer, Prancer, Vixen,
Donner, Dixon,
Eisenhower, Roosevelt,
Hoover, Grant.
None of the good presidents.
Yeah. Oh, look at that's the first issue he appeared in, and boy, that's tough to look at those illustrations now.
Is it? And it's funny how things adapt and change and evolve over time. And when you're in it and you're doing it, and it's like, this is the best thing. I'm so proud of myself. And then the further down you go, you're like, wow, exactly. You look back at it and it's like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, actually, scroll up just one page.
This one?
That's the one. Even though the illustrations aren't fantastic, it's still a nice separation of the page. A nice golden ratio separation of the page there, as far as the panel heights and widths. Nice separation there. Good job, past me, at least on how you laid that page out.
I like it.
Rest of it pretty rough.
I don't think so. I mean, this is still. I mean, you can see some other indie stuff out there that it's like, ooh. But this is, I think this still stands up.
Well, it tells a story visually. Yeah. Like I said, like we talked about before, I learned the basics and then the illustrations caught up,
Right.
But the pictures were there in a way that told the story, and that's what was important.
Right. And it's hard to, it's like, when you're into like so many issues and so many years down the road to like tell people, oh, you want to start from the beginning, go see issue 1. And you're like, it's way different now. You know what I mean? It happens all the time where people are like, we're on issue 5. Like we're thinking about redoing issue 1 because we've grown so much. It's like, you want to give people the impression of where you are now as opposed where you were when you started.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the fun aspect or another positive aspect of doing a book the way I do it. There's no story arcs. Somebody can jump on in issue 22 and they're fine. They didn't really miss anything. They'll get caught up, no problem. I don't have to say, yeah, go back and get issue 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then have them looking at really subpar illustrations. I can just tell them, whatever issue you found, that's a good starting point right there.
I mean, yeah, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
For us, I think it's more like, I don't know. I think once we get so far, it'll be like trade paperback. You know what I mean? We'll do like trade paperback of so many issues, and then it's like the floppies will be discontinued of those first few issues. And then with the trade paperback, we can go back in and like either re-letter or color and do things that maybe we didn't get the opportunity to do in the first round. And then, so that kind of gives it a fresher feel. So people aren't just paying for, a compilation. It's like, there's some additional things that we put into this to freshen up. So I don't know, just ideas. Or anything like that, or just curious.
No.
Okay. Moving on.
Well, I put out trade paperbacks, but I don't, there's always the urge and the temptation to go back and redo something.
Yeah.
But to me, if I spend 8 hours redoing something, that's 8 hours I didn't spend just doing something new.
That's true.
So, I mean, my philosophy is kind of just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. Like this issue we're looking at now, not well illustrated, but very funny. And the story was told well. And and that's fine. It's still worth having. It's still an entertaining issue. There's no need for me to go back and spend a week and a half tweaking something just for my own ego.
That's
For my,
really that's
just
what
for
it
me to go
is.
back and look, for me to say, well, look at Voodoo Joe's head isn't quite right there, and it, the line work isn't that great. Fixing that would be just ego and pride, not. It wouldn't be helping the story at all, because the story that's being told there, it's being told very competently, and
Right.
it's entertaining, and the cake is good. There's no sense in touching up the frosting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I get you.
The cake tastes good.
Right.
If the frosting is a little off, no one's really noticing that but you.
That's good advice, because a lot of us are like, go back and redo and touch up and re-letter and blah blah.
No, I generally don't. I don't recommend other people do it. Just keep moving forward.
Look where she's going. Oh no! Is this where he gets his supply?
That's the first time, I think. Well, scroll up a little bit so I can see where we're at. No, that's the second time, actually. But yeah, that's him. They broke into an abortion clinic and did this sacred ritual to get all the zombie fetuses to get up and get their act together, and get revenge, boys. We got revenge to do. Get your ass out of there.
He's like, oh, we got a new one. Spot, what are you doing back in here?
Yeah, well, see, so Merle in this story here, boy, it's been a long time, but that guy there, that's Merle. He goes to Joe. He's got a list of people to get revenge on. One of them is an ex-girlfriend, and I'm fuzzy. It's been so long, but anyhow, they get a zombie fetus, and they have the fetus sneak in and crawl back into her vagina so that she thinks she's pregnant.
Oh, God.
And then it's also, I guess you'd say, trolling her. Like, she goes to take a cigarette and from inside her stomach, hey, none of that. None of that. So then here they're going to get more fetuses, and they see spikes in there because she aborted it. She's like, and Joe's like, fuck, she can just keep doing that, can't she? Okay, we need another plan. So then, and I forget what happens after that.
He's later, I'm back. I hope you don't mind. I brought a friend. Son of a.
Oh, yeah, that was his plan. We'll just put two of them in here.
He's like, you will carry this one to term. Yes, master. Can zombies actually grow? Well, I don't know. DNA test proves bastard child is billionaire's son. Damn it. Mother awarded over $750,000 in alimony. Ha ha ha. She won.
Yeah. At the end of the day, things often go awry for Joe. Plans seldom work out the way you think they will.
Nice. I love the wood paneled van there.
Yeah, the crappy wood panel minivan. Mm-hmm.
Look, he dumps out a garbage bin full of these guys, and they're just frozen solid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. These are things you got to think about when you have a zombie fetus horror. See, these are early issues, and he's still learning how everything's going to work out for him.
Because they're gooey, right? So they stick together.
Yeah.
Frozen?
Yeah, just like frozen cat food or something. I don't know. Whatever comes out of a can, coagulated. Cranberries, like cold cranberries.
Oh, the canned cranberries for like Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
So we're gonna. I mean, at least they would be similar color.
Yeah, similar consistency probably, and make the same
whole cranberries.
Make the same sound as it comes out as florch. Mm-hmm.
Sorry for grossing you out, people. I think it's funny.
It's good stuff, I think. I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
And this was almost 15, 20 years ago. So this was
wow.
This was some cutting edge stuff. I've went through 2 paradigm shifts now of people who are offended by my work. It started with the Christian right thought I was an asshole, and now the people on the left think I'm an asshole. I've come full circle now.
I was going to say, this is kind of a hot topic right now. Current events, so it just comes full circle, eh?
Yeah, I've never been out of the hot spot in this entire time. I've always been in somebody's radar.
I mean, as a stand-up comedian, that's kind of where they live, right? Is right at the edge of offensive, or into offensive, because that's where, it's like we got to laugh at that stuff. We have
Right.
to.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of comedy, is to laugh at things that would
That are-
otherwise make you sad or scared
Yeah.
or whatever. I mean, you don't need to laugh at something that makes you happy. You already have a good feeling about it. The
Right.
point of comedy is to take power away from things that are bad and give you anxiety. I mean, if you want to break it down to the bare bones of, human behavior and sociology, it exists to relieve the anxiety of things that give you anxiety. It's not there to make you happier about something that's happy. That's not what it's for. It's not why it exists. It's not why it evolved.
I love that. To take the power away from things that would normally give us anxiety. That's really cool.
That's exactly what it's for. It's why we have that hardwired into our CPU. But even so, I mean, neither I nor most comedians who are good are going out to offend anybody specifically. We're finding something that's funny, and often we're looking for ground that hasn't already been stomped dry, and as 6,000 years into human civilization, if you want to do something new, now we're dealing with zombie fetuses. Everything else has been done. Jack Benny talked about being a cheapskate 70 years ago. We can't keep redoing jokes about being a cheapskate or being old or whatever. I mean, you can, and you can make them funny, but if you want to do something new, you just got to start really delving into weirdness. And also, that was the stuff I found funny. I mean, that's the other thing about comedy, is the person telling the joke is telling that joke because he or she finds that genuinely funny, because that our internal compass is set primarily to what we think is funny. So then it goes from there. So people who are good at their job, they're not telling a joke to piss people off. They're telling a joke because first they think it's funny, and then they craft it in a way that they think the audience will understand the joke.
Entertain the masses.
The idea in their head that's just gray magic, it's just fluid and synapses, that's made them funny, and then they translate that into pictures and or dialogue to, as best they can, present that idea to people outside of their own brain.
Wow.
So it's not about, hey, let me piss these people off. This made me funny. Now I need to say it so other humans understand it, and then the hope and or assumption is they will also find that funny.
Right. Bring everybody in on the joke.
Yeah, and most of us, I would say, our biggest concern is we didn't translate that properly. That's really the job, is like, maybe I just have a scene in my head or an idea, or the way Voodoo Joe said something.
Right.
The job now is, can I convey that scene to you? The timbre in his voice, or the posture that he has, or the sounds, or the speed in which things are happening.
Well, and it's a challenge with Voodoo Joe as well, because his face is a mask. So it's not like you can even convey emotion on his face. I rely a lot on my characters to communicate what's going on by what's going on his face. So
someone pointed out, I forget who, but a while ago now, someone pointed out that most of my characters don't have faces. Most of the main characters.
Huh.
And so I do a lot with their body language, their posture. Voodoo Joe's mask, it does move just slightly. The eyes tilt just a little bit here and there. So I guess I'm very efficient with the lines and how I use them to get the idea across of what's going through his head. And the dialogue, I think, it does a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's good dialogue. It's really important. It's really important.
Is it a cow coming out of the water?
Yeah, that's a dream. In this story here, the woman wants her husband's morbidly obese, and she wants revenge on him for some reason. Like, we're talking, this is a long time ago I wrote this, but anyhow, so Voodoo Joe invades this guy's dream as like just cow bones, to represent all the hamburgers he's eaten or whatever. But he invades a dream where the guy's having sex on the beach with some other lady, and he gets creeped out and gets out of the dream. He's like, I'm out.
Yeah, he's like, pay attention to me. Oh, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. This is okay. Okay, I'm out.
That's funny. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, there he turns a fetus into a Jello mold to theoretically jump out and scare the guy, but the guy just swallows it whole before he has time to do anything.
No! Look at his face. So that didn't work. These are really funny, Doug.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, then I think at this point in the story, Joe figures out that it was all a sham, and the woman just wanted her husband to lose weight and thought Joe would be able to scare him into losing weight. She was like genuinely concerned about his health. And so Joe's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm just a patsy.
That's funny.
Yeah, then he
makes him throw up his fetus.
Yep. This is a walk down memory lane. This is a good story.
It's awesome. I love it.
I wrote some good stuff back in the day. Look at that.
Yeah, absolutely you did. And you're still writing Arsenic Lullaby, correct?
I am. Yeah, I'm working on an issue. Well, actually, right now I'm finishing a story for a sci-fi anthology, and also the next issue of Arsenic Lullaby. I'm working on two things at once.
Okay.
In the next issue, actually is going to have not really a story arc, but I think most of the issue is going to be focused on one main character, which, I don't want to do.
Why?
I don't like doing that sort of thing, but I do like this character in this story, so I'm going to try to do something longer. We'll see.
You look conflicted.
We'll see how long my attention span lasts.
Yeah.
Because I've got maybe 40, 50 pages worth of it in here. But how many of those pages will I draw before I go, I'm sick of drawing this fucking guy. Fuck this. Enough already.
See, and that's my problem too. Like, people are always asking me, like, why don't you draw your own comic? And I'm like, I wouldn't. I would think it's, I would either lose interest or I would get sidetracked or.
Because it sucks. Drawing
to
comics.
Do your own. Yeah, I know,
sucks.
right?
It sucks. It's the most boring job there is. Really.
I love it when other people draw my comic.
You're at a table, staring at a piece of paper, moving your hand around this much. That is one step away from just sitting at a table, staring at a piece of paper.
It's better than that. At least you're breathing life in it. That's why I pay someone else to do it who likes to do it. You know what I mean? Who's excited about creating stuff. So that way I can be excited about it too, Because if I did it, I wouldn't be excited about it. I would think it's trash. So when Marco does it, I can get excited because he puts effort into it, and it turns out good. It turns out amazing. And I can be excited when I see the characters come to life. Otherwise, I would just be there forever like, no. Okay, I'm going to do something else. And it just would never get done.
Yeah. It's much more fun watching someone else do something.
I think so.
Yeah. And also, if you are not drawing it, you're not concerned that I'm not properly getting this image onto this paper. Like I have an image or an idea and I'm trying to transfer it onto the paper. If I'm doing someone else's script, then, I'm just doing my best and there you go. That's my best. I don't have the image in my head that I'm trying to duplicate.
Right.
And so, parts of it are fun. The page layouts, doing the page layouts are fun. And the final inking is fun. But that's really just maybe 25% of the whole job. And then that middle section is just tedious.
Just suck it up and do it.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Well, that's why I just focus on all the fun parts. Like I get to do the thank you page. I build the riddles, and I do all the short films. So like all the extra stuff that goes with our comic, that's what I focus on, and then I pay people to do the interior.
Boy, isn't that nice? Look at you. I'll handle all this fun stuff here. I mean, I'll do all this so you guys
All right,
can
I'll
just
do all this
enjoy the
work.
book. I'll take all
You
this
do all that work.
onto myself, onto these shoulders. I will bear this load. I will bear this burden for you.
Which
Now-
is true. Well, I mean,
Now
not everybody
stare at
likes
that page for the next 4 days drawing.
Not everybody likes to come on camera. Not everybody likes to do what I think is fun. So, I mean, I guess play to your strengths, right?
Play to what you can convince other people that they don't want to do.
Convince other people they do want to do. I'll do the stuff that they don't want to do. That's why we make a good team.
Well, yeah, well, it was just a different way of phrasing the same thing. Like, but you know, I'll handle this. You don't want to waste your time. Oh, this is tedious. I'll do this part.
It is tedious, though. I'll tell you what. Doing production, getting all my shots, and then loading it all into the software, sitting there and editing and cutting and making same thing. It's like the timing has to be there, the music has to be there, the color correction, the credits, everything. So that can be tedious. I always kick myself in the butt because I'm always like, I want to get it done. I want to have fans involved. We put all the film in, and it takes me like forever to fucking edit this thing. But it's part of creation, isn't it? Where it's like, God, I should do this different.
I don't know. I still find editing fun.
It's not, but
It's not. But yeah, I haven't done it enough for it to not be fun. I mean, it's it's the same thing with drawing. Every job sucks once you figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
When it's
Not
new,
exciting anymore,
it's
but
exciting. But after you've done it long enough that you have it kicked in the butt, now it's just a chore. Now it's something you have to do.
It's one of those things where it's a love-hate relationship. It's almost like, I always want to call it like giving birth, because we as people, women especially, who have to give birth, it's a terrible
Generally,
experience.
in general, yeah.
Terrible experience usually. Like, no matter when the baby comes out, it's horrific.
I've never
heard
a woman talk about childbirth as fun. Like, whoa, that's fun. Hey, stick it back in and let's do it again. It was so much fun.
But you know what? We have multiple kids. A lot of us do. So if you're smart, you have one and done, and then you're like, I'm never doing this again, right? Because it's terrible. But when you have multiple kids, it's almost like, okay, you almost forget how the terrible parts are, and you get excited, and you want to have another kid, you plan for another kid, and then you're in the moment again. It's like, God, this sucks. I don't want to do this again. Why do I do this to myself? So it's almost like creating indie comics where I'm like, I'm really excited to start issue number 3, like building the Kickstarter, we're promoting, and it's like, when you get into the nitty gritty and the anxiety of Kickstartering, everybody's like, it's all that self-doubt. It's all that eats away at you. And we don't talk about a lot of times on camera, but it's there, and then you get through that. Hopefully you're funded, you get your comic done, you sit around and wait for printing forever. Like, well, not forever. It is what it is, right? And then you start over again. I don't know. We just do it to ourselves, but I don't know where I was going with that, but it's kind of like, it's creation. It's like, we love it, we hate it, we love it, we hate it. Let's do it again. Why do we do it to ourselves? We just do it.
We're all chasing the dragon at a certain point.
Is it?
Like some high that we got out of it that we keep circling back for. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. There must be some part of us that enjoys it, that takes the wheel.
It's like, why do we continue to do this to ourselves? What we do?
Back here. Well, I at this point I do it because that's the only thing I know how to do. It's too late for me to go back and become an attorney. This is what I do.
You could. It's never too late to change. However, it doesn't mean you have to change. If you like what you're doing.
Well, and I'm really good at I'm accidentally one of the best people there is at this. So I guess it would make almost no sense to go back and start doing something else.
You're silly.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know why you would want to be an attorney if you're if you're a comedian, you'd just be miserable, I think. Or really entertaining. Can you imagine doing stand-up comedy during a trial?
Well, I mean, comedy is basically about observing things and noticing things that other people don't.
Timing and delivery. That would be we should write that. We need to write that where there's a stand-up comedian who's an attorney and like.
I'm sure that would be entertaining, but I don't even think like taking things to trial, even before things go to trial. I think the skill set still overlaps in you're noticing things that other people don't. You're seeing aspects other people don't. You're looking at things in a way that other people don't. So just in the discovery process of a lawsuit, I think a comedian would be very valuable because he's going to spot this. He's going to look at something a certain way, and he's going to notice this. Yeah.
Can you imagine having a business card like
comedian, attorney
at law, comedian / comedian.
They
People would be so confused. What?
Right.
What am I getting here? What's going on?
Yeah, you might as well just throw astronaut on there also at that point because they're going to think you're full of shit. Yeah.
Brain surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket surgeon. Just change it up.
Yeah, I'm a rocket surgeon.
That would be a funny show. You should write that.
A rocket surgeon?
What about
a show where there's a magical business card? And whatever you write onto that card, you get that.
Yes!
You get that power. Yeah. Like maybe the card was trimmed from some ancient druid scroll, and then your name is typed on there, and anything that is scribbled below your name, you now have all that skill and ability. So you write brain.
But they have to scribble two things: one good and one bad. So every time you get a good power, you also get a really negative power.
Oh, sure, yeah, like a monkey's paw type situation. Yeah, there's got to be balance to the universe. So you are you're a male prostitute, but you also have to fix porta potties.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to think of something way worse than that. Micro schmenis is what I was thinking.
Like what? Grow what?
Nothing.
I don't know what that is. I'm not Googling that.
Don't.
I don't. I'll just take your word for it that it's bad.
I didn't say the actual thing. I kind of. That's not what we were saying, people. Arsenic Lullaby. That's not what I just said.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I don't know what it means. I'm not gonna Google it.
We'll move along.
No.
But I mean, like, it's like attorney at law, but also has like real stinky feet. Can only eat garlic, something like that. I don't know. Something really weird.
Well, that's not a skill, though. I think it has to be two skills.
Oh,
because it's on the business card. You wouldn't list on your business card anything about your personal hygiene. You would list what you're good at. So, yeah, what's a job you wouldn't want? Like,
can identify
veterinarial rectal examiner or something like that. I don't know. Something, but we've got a good working
sewer technician would be good.
Yeah, I think we've got a solid functional premise here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need someone to play the older druid, like a Wilford Brimley type, comes in at night and scribbles what your job is.
Diabetes.
Yeah.
I could do that.
What? What did he say? Come back.
I could do that.
You want to do it? You can use Pop's likeness.
Yeah, we just have to throw a hood on him, maybe make him a little dustier, give him one of those long, twisty wooden canes. He can come in at night. Yeah.
Yeah, that lights up. I like it.
Right. And then Ryan Gosling would have to go through all the horrific jobs.
Why Ryan Gosling?
He's ready.
He's ready.
There. Very good. There.
Throw 'em
Perfect.
in.
Perfect. Mhm.
Be like, you can have a business card.
Any
Except-
job you wish, but the second job will be
True
determined
story,
by
that
me.
True story. That cane is on the cover of a comic book.
The cane is?
The cane is on the cover of a comic book.
Which one?
Quint by
Yeah.
who the heck was it? Doran. Whitefire Comics.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know
That
who that
cane is on the cover of a comic. The cover inspired by that cane, guaranteed. True
That's
story.
cool. So never mind. That's a whole nother thing. We'll ask him about later. So do you have
I love when
merch?
Pops just jumps in with a non sequitur.
I know. I'm like, speaking of canes with skulls on them, do you have merch that's available at your store? Like, can we get plushy fetuses? Because that would be hilarious.
No, not currently. I've done that stuff in the past. I've had plushy fetuses. I've had fetus statues. I've had everything at one point or another. We had a Zippo lighter that had a little fetus on it, and it said "Smoking is harmful to a fetus," and then the fetus had a little cigarette. But Zippo wouldn't make those anymore.
They're probably like lawsuit waiting to happen.
Well, they wouldn't do it at all. I sent them in the artwork. You know, it all figured out. I sent them the artwork, and they sent it back and said, "Fuck no."
You're like,
Fuck
we're never
no,
going to touch this.
Yeah, are you out of your mind? We find this to be in bad taste and blah blah blah. And my friend's like, every time there's a villain on a movie that burns down a fucking orphanage, they have a Zippo lighter, but they're worried about your zombie penis being a bad image.
That says smoking is bad.
Right. I just watched a Nazi burn down a house with a Zippo lighter, but they're worried about your fetus. So
yeah, this is true, but then it's like extra. You know what I mean?
yeah. In any case,
Good.
I went around them and just ordered the fetuses in bulk, or not the fetuses. I ordered the Zippos in bulk and had someone else print on them.
Yeah.
And then Zippo found out somehow and just stopped sending me. They wouldn't even let me buy blank Zippos. Yeah, I'd like another 300 Zippos, please. No, motherfucker.
Come on.
We're not
There's
that.
no way they could. Well, I mean, it is a Zippo. I was like, how would they even?
Well, you got to advertise. I can't sell these out of the back of my car. So
True.
They
And
saw
it has
it.
their name on it, so
They saw it somehow, or I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to be a rocket scientist for me to send you an image and you go, "We're not printing this," and me going, "Okay, just send me 500 blanks."
And them to be like,
Right.
I wonder what he's going to do.
Boy, this guy smokes a lot of fucking cigarettes. 500 Zippo lighters. Jeez. He must lose these things all the time. I can't imagine how many sunglasses this guy goes through. He's losing 500 Zippo lighters every month.
Oh, that's cheating. How come he gets to do that? Is because DC and Marvel haven't sent him a cease and desist yet?
Well, he probably wasn't foolish enough to tell them what he was going to do with the lighters.
True. I mean, yeah.
He just said, "Send me the lighters. Send me the lighters, please." Although now, I mean, that was a long time ago. Maybe now I would send that same image in, but I would use some sort of letterhead that makes it look like I give a fuck about people. I would just take one.
I don't think they're going to buy it.
Well, it's been a long time. I could send it in as the organization for, I don't know, pick something I'm supposed to care about. The X community of whatever the fuck, I don't know here.
Atlantis.
What? You're not printing my lighters, you fucking racist bigot?
How dare you?
You fucking.
This is for charity.
This is because I'm black and gay. That's why you won't print my lighters. Don't you motherfucker? I'm gonna tweet out this until hell won't have it. I would try. If I would try that this time.
Where's that disclaimer?
That's what I would do. I mean, you got to work the system,
Yeah, absolutely.
It always helps to pretend you care. That's my kernel of advice for the morning. Pretending you care is underrated.
I'll drink to that.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I don't currently have any merch. I won't get any more merch together until probably June when I'm about to go to San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, early summer I'll have something.
Which cons do you go to? Do you have ones that you go to every year? Do you have ones that?
Well, I used to do a lot. I used to do about 10 a year.
Yeah.
And then the world ended. And
Yep.
then it opened up again. And I said, you know what? I don't want to fucking do that. On second thought, I don't want to fucking run my ass across the fucking country to and fro every month. I don't want to do this. So now I do 3 or 4.
Which ones?
I do San Diego. I do shit, I can't think of any names.
Do you go to New York?
No,
No.
because New York City is a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, this is what a lot of people. Oh, you should come to my town. Yeah, how easy is it to get around your town with 500 pounds of fucking merch and display? Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a beautiful town, and I'm sure you'd love to have me. How do I get all my shit from Milwaukee, Wisconsin to this convention center? Do you have a plan? Because in New York, there's no plan unless you want to spend, several $100s just in logistics from you getting to the airport to the convention center.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, how do you get all your shit into there? And it's like with New York, it's like you can't I wouldn't rent a car because where are you going to put it? There's no parking.
Yeah, it's a
how do you get
fucking
in there?
It's a fucking disaster. I don't know how anybody else does it. I mean, maybe they just, I don't know. But in some towns, there's like a FedEx or a shipping location close enough to the convention center that you could pick all your stuff up with a rental car and park it. And depending on what city it is, having a rental car is a good thing. Some cities you can't drive anywhere anyhow, like New York, and every city has its own issues as far as getting your merch to that show. Yeah. Because I'm trying to sell comic books more so than commissions. A lot of illustrators, they just need maybe a handful of comics to show people what they've done. Yeah, I'm a big deal. Look, here's the comics I've done. And then they need a pad of bristle board paper to draw on and some pens. And that's really all they need. They only need one check bag and they're good. I need 300 pounds of comic books. I need 50 pounds of display and all sorts of other stuff. And yeah, anyhow.
That's 300 pounds of comic books. Yeah, I guess if you got 15 years of comic books, are you bringing up
if I go to, like, let's say a large convention like C2E2, I'm looking to sell, a couple hundred trade paperbacks. Otherwise, what the fuck am I doing there? So right. trade paperback is a thick one is about, between a half a pound and a pound.
Yeah.
That's 200 pounds just in the trade paperbacks. Yeah. Then if you bring in other books, and then if you bring in shirts or whatever, that shit adds up.
It all adds up. Yeah. And I think for me, it's the display stuff, because it's bulky and big, and you know what I mean? It's awkward to carry it in. So it's like, how many trips you got to take to the freaking car? If you got a dolly and you can pile all your boxes of books, at least that's a quick trip. But
it's
never easy too.
Yeah, the display is a problem, especially if you want to have an awesome display.
Yeah.
Awesome takes up, square footage. Yeah. Awesome takes up room.
It does. I don't even have all the stuff yet. I'm like working on, it's like working on getting that kind of stuff because I'm so new. So it's like I need a banner, I need stuff. So
yeah, like I've got a 7-foot tall inflatable fetus that I would bring.
That's awesome.
And but
do you have to, like, Is it one of those that has like a fan that continually blows, or like you blow it up and yeah? Oh god.
Yeah, that became the problem because that's a lot of cubic air.
Yeah.
A 7 foot tall fucking
Fetus.
fetus. That is a lot of air. So it needed a giant ass industrial blower like outside of a used car lot. You know, I needed one of those fucking things.
One of those like wacky waving inflatable tube men. Yes.
Right. And the problem with that is right when you get it right out of the box, it's decent, but after it's been running at a convention nonstop for 8 hours for 4 days, it starts to sound like this. Which is fine if it's a used car lot on the corner. It's just more ambient noise. But you're right fucking next to it trying to talk to somebody. You've got a fucking migraine and you're shouting. So I haven't brought that in a long time because I have to find a fan or some way of muffling the fan so that I don't have to shout over the fan that's blowing air into a giant fetus. Because then I start to think about what I'm doing also. I draw fetuses. What the fuck do I do? What is this thing behind me? I've got a giant. How the fuck old am I? What is this? What did I just wake up out of a coma? There's a giant fucking fetus behind me, and I don't understand what's going on.
That's really funny. I think it would be interesting marketing too. People are like, "What is this? Why is this here?"
Well, the other
how do you
issue,
explain to them like it's a fetus?
Yeah, I explained that. Issue also became that little kids love it. Little kids fucking love it. I mean, they just couldn't wait to come up and hug it, and they wanted their picture with it and shit. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And the parents they don't have, no, it's just a big, cute, giant thing to them. You know, a 4-year-old doesn't know what a fucking fetus is. And
right.
The parents are like, oh, what? I said, just let him. He doesn't know what it is. Tell him it's a Muppet. You'll be fine. He'll be fine.
You're like, bring it up, 10 years later when he's in high school.
Yeah, I said, you know what? When he's 18, show him this picture. He's gonna laugh his ass off. Don't worry about it. Because one of the moms, there was a mom was like, I don't know. I don't want to be a prude. I said, if you don't want the kid by the giant fetus, I'm not gonna think anything of it. I wouldn't want my kid by a giant fetus. I said, but if the kid wants the picture, just don't tell him what it is. I assure you, this kid has no idea what it is. To him, it's just a big red Muppet. Don't even worry about it. But that's taking up time for people who might actually buy the book. That 4-year-old isn't buying a copy of Arsenic Lullaby, nor should he.
Right. This is true.
So that's why I haven't brought that in a while, but I'll have to bring it out of retirement soon.
That's funny. Well, I'll actually cross that off my list to have inflatable things because at first it sounds great, but now thinking about like the giant fan and the noise that it makes, I'm gonna go ahead and cross that off my list.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to find a fan that's not noisy because you don't realize how loud they are until you're standing next to them in a room.
Well, and I think eventually next to them.
No, what's that?
I said over time, don't they all end up that way? Probably.
Maybe. Like I didn't do a whole lot of research on what's a good inflatable fan company. You know, I just found a fan that could pump enough cubic feet of air for X amount of hours. So maybe if you spent the time, you could find a fan that works. I don't know.
What? Dawn. What the? Dee Snider chatting about signing fetuses after a concert? I'm gonna have to Google that because what the hell? Someone brought a fetus for Dee Snider to sign?
Was there a palimony suit also that he was supposed to sign?
A what?
Palimony suit?
I don't know what that is.
That's when I don't want to pay for my own kid.
Oh. You know what?
I only know that because it was a trivia question. I, of course, would never skip out on a child that I had again.
Again, he says.
I'm kidding. I don't actually know how I know. I must have heard that on a TV show or something. Palimony suit. We might want to Google that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was like, why don't we Google that? Dee Snider, paternity.
Paternity suit? Paternity suit. Where did I get palimony suit? I don't even know what I'm
I
talking
don't know
about.
what palimony is. Wouldn't it be like just child?
Isn't that a horse of
Oh.
palimony? No, that's a palimony. Hold on a second. Palimony. Palimony.
Is that a word? Did you make that word up while we were on the show?
Maybe I did.
Because there's alimony and then there's child support. I don't think there's palimony.
Oh, wait. No, something came up. There is such a thing as a palimony suit.
What is it?
It's pretty much what I said.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't want to pay child support? So palimony.
None of the first paragraph. There's a whole lot of legal jargon, but it seems to involve not want to paying for your kid.
Gotcha.
So good.
Lawsuit.
Yeah. I still have no idea where I heard that, but it must have been a TV show or something.
They were plastic. Okay. That makes more sense, Don. There were anti-abortion protesters at his concert giving plastic fetuses out. People were getting them and going to his signing line. I think that backfired. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Womp, womp, womp.
Wow. But I don't know. Would Dee Snider was he signing them anyway? I mean, or is it a case like Zippo, like, this is a bad idea, maybe we shouldn't put our name on it?
It probably depended on what era this happened in, because not, 10, 20 years ago, he wouldn't have to worry about anybody taking a picture of him signing a plastic fetus and blowing it up on Twitter. He could just do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Selling it on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an era where you didn't have to be concerned about any of that. You could do whatever the fuck you wanted, and it was your word against this 16-year-old who was drunk at a concert. But now that 16-year-old has a camera.
Yeah,
And a Twitter account. Yeah.
Twitter account and Instagram and a TikTok.
Right. The whole world knows instantly.
Oh my goodness.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, what else merchandise can we think of for dog fetus wise? You do fetus keychains?
What else have I done? Did I do a fetus keychain? That sounds familiar. Maybe I did that. I don't know. I've done so much.
You know what I've seen recently? My kids, we got, I think, Sonic. And they have these like straw. What do they call them? They're like, it's a little plastic figure that hangs onto the straw. So as you're drinking it, it's there on the cup. That would be really funny too. Because who wants to have a fetus hanging onto their straw?
I think the worst thing I ever did was I made a Christmas ornament.
Yeah.
That was just a ball of fetuses. Oh no. Hold on.
Do you have it?
Hold on. Stall.
Yeah. Everybody look. I have around it. It was great sometime. See, it's pretty. Doug's going to get us something funny because that's what he does. This is the handmade karambit by my friend Taki Kabir and Bit Blades with the stainless steel. No, I think it's aluminum blade and red heart wood. Custom made for my hand. All right, coming back to Doug. A little ad for Bit Blades. They make custom weapons. Let's see what you got.
No, I forgot to plug my laptop in.
Oh God, you were gonna die. I thought you were getting the ornament. I was like,
No,
let's see the ornament.
I don't have the ornaments. I get
No,
rid of that.
your computer was yelling.
I don't keep any of that stuff because usually, if I look at it, I'm just thinking about the work and the nightmare that it was. I'm not thinking, oh, isn't this lovely? It's just
You don't
bringing
say
back.
that? Do you have any of your own work framed in your house anywhere or no? What's back there?
I've got one page from the first issue, but I don't know where it is.
What's on your back wall?
I've got an issue number 8 with a copy of the Eisner Award nomination card and I've got a couple other nomination cards framed, and I've got a Casper the Friendly Ghost cover, and a Plastic Man cover, and a copy of an issue that was on Comedy Central as like an animated short.
Cool. Which one is that?
That's actually The 1,000 Deaths of Baron von Donut is the name of that issue. And there was a space alien short 2-page story that they animated and put on Comedy Central. So I framed that and the little like postcard advertisements that they were giving out.
Cool.
So, but I don't keep any original artwork generally. I'm all about moving units.
Yeah.
I'd much rather it be in someone else's hands than me looking at it anymore, because I looked at it for 20 hours making it. I don't need to see it ever again.
You're like, this is burned into my retinas forever. Someone else can see
it. I get a kick out of seeing things in print. I don't really care about the originals, whatever. It's fine. Other people can have it. So yeah, but anyhow, so I had to sculpt a ball of fetuses that were just sort of, like the Gates of Rodin, where they're just sort of all on top of each other, twisted up and stuff.
Yeah.
I had to sculpt that.
You sculpted.
I sculpted it in Sculpty, and I don't know. It seemed like a great idea in my head. It was a great idea, and then you have to put it into practice. So I had to sculpt. I don't know how long that fucking took, and then I figured out that, wait a minute, you got to make the mold, the cast and mold.
Yes.
And then I figured out, wait, this ornament weighs almost a full pound.
Oh my
This cannot hang on a Christmas tree. So then I had to go to the dollar store and get a whole bunch of just cheap ornaments so that I could put that in the center of the mold and then pour the cast around so that the whole thing would be hollow. And then it also had the nice little hook on there. See?
That's smart.
It was smart after I was dumb.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of times that happens. You know what I mean? Where it's like your first iteration doesn't always work. You got to engineer the shit out of stuff. Then I had to airbrush all of them, and then I had to paint in all the eyes. And this little Gates of Rodin ball of fetuses that had about little 50 fetuses on there. You put 50 on there?
There was at least, because it was this big, and then each fetus was like maybe an inch. It looked cool, but so I had to hand paint each little eye on each of the fucking. It took for fucking ever. They didn't get out. The last of them didn't get sent out until like the middle of January, and I'm just like, look, I'm sorry. I pumped these out as fast as I could. I've definitely got popcorn lung from the fucking airbrushing in this fucking apartment. The whole thing. That was the last time I did anything like that. After I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done. We're just going to make t-shirts or something like that from now on. No more Zippo yelling at me with cease and desist orders. No more of any of this. No more popcorn lung. No more sculptures.
I get you. Because I like to do the surprise rewards too, until I realize I've been working on this for like 2 months to put one item together.
And it's time away from making actual content, like
right. But again, I'm not doing the art on mine, so production doesn't stop when I decide to do a foray into the land of bones and ash and bottles.
I suppose so. Yes. Yeah, I suppose.
So I like doing the surprise ones, and then it's like I gotta make sure I can do a few. That's why it's like when I do those, though, I put a limit on them. So it's like we're only gonna make 5, or we're only making 10, and that's it. Like that's all I can handle in that time frame. And then it's like move on.
I wonder how many of those ornaments I did. I think at least 50 of them.
Oh my God, that's too many.
It was a nightmare. It was an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah, those are ones like you have instant regret. Like, why did I commit to so many? It's like, we're going to be making hot sauce for the next campaign. We're going to be doing free samples of hot sauce. And I was like, I think the bottles come in a pack of 30 and that's it. Like, that's enough for me. Like, that is enough. 50, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. It was, these are all things that seem like they're a good idea until you have to practice. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun being the research and development department. It's not fun being production.
You're like, I have this great idea. This will definitely sell. And then you're like, I just don't want to. Okay, I have to make this.
Right. Yeah. That's when the wide-eyed research and development part of my brain is like, yeah, we'll do this, blah, blah, blah. And I need the grumpy Teamster production side of my brain to come in sooner and go, yeah, we ain't doing that.
See this, it's too much. And you're done.
Yeah, that's going to take, first of all, that's going to take way too long. The thing's going to weigh a pound. It's going to drag the tree down. We'd have to go to the dollar store and get a bunch of, no, this is bullshit. We're not doing this.
Dawn says, you signed every one of them? Am I understanding that correctly, Dawn? You're talking about the ornaments?
No, he's talking about, I think she's talking about the fetuses.
Oh.
Dee Snider?
My ice cream cup and then a Jesus statue. Oh, she's talking about Dee Snider. She's talking about ice cream cup and then a Jesus statue. I mean, when you're a celebrity, do you just sign anything that they shove in your face? I'm just curious.
That's weird. Like, what does any of this have to do with Dee Snider? I'd
Nothing.
be like, I'm not statue of Jesus. I didn't write the Bible. You got the wrong guy.
Yeah.
You've got the wrong white guy with long hair, lady. Move along.
Yeah. I don't know. Is that sacrilegious to do that? I don't know.
I don't think so. Well, for him, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'm not a theologian. Let's just say it was.
I think my grandma would be upset by that, so we're going to go with yes.
Yes, we're in the era now.
Upset by it. It's probably what they would consider sacrilegious.
Right. There's no grown-ups. We have to go back to an earlier generation and think about, okay, back when there were actual grown-ups, what would a grown-up think about this? She would frown on this. Okay, we're not doing this. Grandma would not like this, and she's the closest thing to a grown-up that I know. She's an adult, has no tattoos, and listens to music I don't understand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your friend has the statue and multiple autographs. All right. Well, Twisted Sister. Heck yeah. Can't say I've ever seen them in concert.
I couldn't name one song they did. I know who he is, but I don't know any of their music. They were before my time.
Me too. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
What's the last concert you went to? Just curious.
Caroline Rose.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Oh, she's good.
What kind of music?
Caroline Rose-ish.
Yeah,
I don't know. She started off sort of a folk singer-ish and then more poppy-ish. I don't know how to describe her. She's just really good.
Okay, well, I'll look her up.
Yeah. I think Miami is the newest song she just put out.
We'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining, Dawn. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dawn, for the story about Dee Snider. And
I know, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
It was relevant because fetuses. So.
Yeah. It was a nice segue. It's always nice when the audience actually contributes something instead of just a dumbass question.
That was spot on. So thank you, Dawn. She was really good last week too. We were talking about martial arts and she had all sorts of good comments. So Dawn, see you next week.
Excellent.
I think the last concert I went to was Tool before the pandemic. They were here in Dallas.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if they're going to be in concert anymore. They're getting up there. They might.
It depends on how fast they go through the cocaine.
Then they need more money. But they're all they all have other side projects. Like Maynard is in other groups and he has a wine. He has a vineyard in Arizona with their own brand of wine called Merkin Vineyards. It's funny. I mean, it's Maynard. Are we going to be serious? No. But it's pretty good. It's, I think the wine brand is called Caduceus. My husband's a big fan of Tool, and so is my sister. So that's how I got to that concert. Wasn't really, I mean, their music is good, but it was really an interesting experience because it was less about them and more about the music. I don't know, I've been to other concerts, like we went to Alice in Chains with my husband, and it was more about like, you know, it was a typical rock concert. There's frontman, they walk around on stage, they play their instruments, they interact with the crowd. And Tool was like a laser light show. And there was times where you didn't even see them at all. They would have this like big chain curtain that went in front of the stage, and they would play like their music videos to the songs that they were playing. So you didn't even see them. It wasn't about them. It's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, they're an interesting group of
Yeah.
musicians. They're
Right?
in a league of their own. Let's say they're happily doing their own thing.
Right.
Yeah, an example of somebody who's the peak. You know, somebody who's the best at what they do. You know,
Right.
which I always find entertaining and interesting. Somebody who is at the top of their field, the best at doing X, Y, or Z, the best comedian, the best rapper, or the best whatever, the best basketball player. It's always fascinating to me to watch somebody who's the best at something.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum, one of the other concerts I saw right before Tool was Yo-Yo Ma. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is. He's a famous cellist.
Okay, yeah.
Well, same thing, like at the top of his game, right? Went to see him, and he didn't play the cello while we were there. He played the piano. And we were like, we didn't even know he could play the piano.
Did you boo? Boo!
I know. I was like, where's the cello?
I paid $40 to watch you play the cello.
Let me back up. He didn't play the cello for the first half of the concert. The second half, he did bring the cello out. But when he first came out, we were up, you know, applauding. There was no cello. We were like, who is this? You know, this is Yo-Yo, but where is his instrument? And he sat down at the piano and started to play. And we were like, okay, I don't know what I'm here for, but this is what I was expecting.
That is a hell of a spin of the band that plays their new music first. You know, like you want to hear the Rolling Stones play Fade to Black, but instead they come out and play their new music. Like, okay, we'll sit through this. But this guy took it a completely step further.
Yes.
And he's not even playing the instrument you know him for.
Right. He
That's
just started playing the piano. We were all so confused.
It's like if Elton John came out and made balloon animals for the first 40 minutes.
Right?
That's what we're here for,
I'm trying
dickhead.
to think of the comparison,
Yeah.
but that's about it. Where I was just like, "What is going on?" It was just really interesting to me because at this point, not only is he a cellist, but he's like a philosopher. He does all these other things, so it's like he can do whatever he wants at this point because he's so high up there. People are like, "Oh yeah, Yo-Yo Ma, he plays." You know, he makes balloon animals, and we pay money for it. Like, he can do whatever he wants, and it's art. And that's kind of like Tool. It's like the guy played a whole song on a gong. They're percussionists. You know, they're I can't even call him a drummer because he plays so many other instruments besides drums. It's amazing. He played a whole song on this giant gong. We were like, okay.
Well, that's the other interesting part about people who are so masterful of their craft is they teach everybody else something about it. You know, like you take Tool, like I didn't know fuck all about playing drums, nor did I care. But then you listen to Tool and then you start to understand why he's better, and then you start to pay attention to the thing. Next thing you know a whole lot about playing drums. You know, you've learned a whole lot of stuff. Or you take a Major League Baseball player, like a pitcher who's the best pitcher there is, and then you start to notice, oh, he's varying his pitches for this reason, and his arm is moving that. You know, you start to learn about why they're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with probably playing a cello.
I'll tell you, I play the cello. I'll say that very loosely. I played the cello a while ago. I can't say that I currently play because I haven't taken it out of the case in probably 2 years. But I mean, like if I put it in my hands, I can remember. But still, it's like the nuances, and maybe I should compare this to martial arts because I do that more. But like when you watch someone begin, and then you're watching, there's like a whole level of comprehension that happens. You know what I mean? Because when you're watching a master do the move, and you're a noob, and you try to do it, and you think you're doing it exactly the same way, and they're looking at you like, that's not what I just did. So it's, having to, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. It's like an awareness. And I think that comes with everything. The longer that you're in it and you can actually see the difference or see what makes it good. And sometimes it's very subtle, some of the choices that are made, be it music or art or martial arts, it's like,
yeah,
you see those people make those decisions and what a big difference it can make with just a small change.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of it's human nature that you kind of want to understand why something is different than something else.
Yeah.
So, like keeping the martial arts analogy, you see that somebody is a league better than someone else, and then that interests you, and then part of your brain wants to understand why it is different. Why is this better? And then so, you're learning just by trying to understand.
Yeah.
Because this person was so good, it's the same thing with, like, say, Tool. They're so good, you're interested, and then your brain wants to know, why am I interested? Why is this so good? What's different? And, like you said, that awareness keeps going to past the surface and past another surface and peeling the onion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, somebody who's best at what they do can get you interested in fly fishing.
Right.
Yeah, because
I mean about anything.
Yeah, because everything has nuance to it, and everything has subtle things that make something better than something else. I'm sure even a fly fisherman could tell you which fishing line is better for windy days and when it's too humid for some other kind of fishing line. Once you get to a certain level, there's so many facets that you just instinctively understand and take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
The fuck am I talking about?
I don't know, but we're having like a real deep conversation, man. I get it. It's like
if you were only half listening, you would think I said something really profound there.
Well, yeah, it's funny because it's like people are like, we're going to talk about comics, and we have talked about so much other stuff besides comics in this specific, episode. I think it's cool. I like getting into people's brains and see how they tick. So this has been fun.
It's about the creative process, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, like, for example, I'm going to tie it back into your comedic experience because those nuances with the timing and delivery, someone who's trying to learn that can look into someone like yourself with that 20 years of experience, or even longer. I'm not even sure how long you've been doing stand-up comedy, and to really find out what makes it good and, like, you know what I mean? To dig into it and really take it apart, dissect it, and find out what's good. And, like, again, we were talking about, like, imitation, but then finding your own voice and stuff like that. So it's, like, it's really interesting to me how we can learn from other people, learn from their style, but then make it our own, because that is indeed the goal. So
yeah, and I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to learn from other mediums too.
Mm-hmm.
Like you shouldn't want to. I don't think want to do a comic book. I think you should want to tell a story and then choose comic book as the medium. So I mean, it should be important. It'd be important to understand why a musician is good, or a novelist is good, or anybody who's able to capture people's imagination. It's important to understand how they did it and what tools they use and why it was effective.
Right.
You shouldn't just read Jack Kirby comics and take all his techniques, and you're not bringing anything new to the field.
Not bringing anything new. And again, you won't find a following. It's like you have to push the envelope, find something new that you can connect with people that's your own. Because if you're not doing anything unique, it's like, why? But that's why it's like people are disconnected from mainstream Hollywood right now. Is because all we're getting is a regurgitation. How many times have we seen Resident Evil? We don't need more Resident Evil. Give us something new.
You know, I'm glad you didn't bring this up until just
The
now,
end.
because I would have talked for the entire 2 hours about how shit Hollywood is. But
See?
the main problem, the core root problem is you have people who are writers who have only ever wanted to be writers. You can't write from a vacuum. You have to go out and live a fucking life. You have to meet people. You have to have a job. You have to have experiences. You can't just grow up and stare at a computer and become a good writer, because you will have nothing to fucking say. And this is what we're seeing on the screen. We're watching stories written by people who don't know anything and haven't lived one day in their life. And I think that the root or the biggest symptom of that is they can't write villains. All these villains are shit because they've never met a villain.
They're two-dimensional.
The writers have lived a fucking bubble life. They've never met anyone who's truly evil or probably even a criminal or even bad in any way, shape, or form beyond he tweeted something I didn't like. So they've never met that personality. So there's no way for them to write that personality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Ernest Hemingway was a fucking ambulance driver in World War I.
Right.
That guy lived a fucking life. So he was
Right.
able to write his story with a vast array of characters because he met all those people. You know, not
Right.
specifically, but he met that personality and he met that personality and he met that personality. So he's able to write characters that have that personality. If you just sit and at 16, you decide you want to be a writer and you just focus on writing until you're 24, you're never going to have a story to tell.
Right.
You may understand how to structure a screenplay, but it's shit because you don't know anything.
There's no emotion. There's no.
You're writing fan
Passion.
fiction about life is what you're doing.
Hmm.
You're just, that's all we're seeing. Like I don't know if I've seen a Marvel movie ever that really had a good villain.
Well, Marvel has its own issues with villains. They want you to commiserate with them, but then there's always some big flaw that doesn't make sense for that the villain does, and then all of a sudden we're like, nope, we can't sympathize with them. But it's like so off the scope. My biggest example of that is for the series Falcon and Winter Soldier. Right? Their character was that girl. She had a mission. She was trying to help people who came back after the blip because they had lost property, housing, country, whatever. But then she starts just like killing innocent people. So it's like this huge shift in her paradigm. And then it's like, now now she's crazy. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's not how that works. People, if she's either show that from the beginning or don't show it all, we can still like her. She can still have a noble goal and be a villain. That's what makes them interesting. You don't have to. Marvel always does that, where they're like, they have a good point, but they're also batshit crazy. And now we're gonna.
Yeah. I mean, that's a perfect example because they didn't write a villain. They wrote a bunch of activities that character X was going to do.
Right.
They didn't. Where's the personality? Could you tell me what that person is like?
Nope.
I couldn't. I could tell you what they did. I could tell you what their motivation was. That's not the personality. That's not who that person is.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to think of a good example of it being done right. And, you know, it's still early in the morning for me, but.
I was going to say the Inglourious Bastards. He's a great villain.
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino knows how to write a villain, and maybe he's a good example because any of those characters in a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know who they are.
Right.
Like if you take any of them and imagine sitting with them at a McDonald's, you would kind of have an idea of how they would act, what they would be like. They exist. They've captured your personality and they live in your brain. This fucking broad from Winter Soldier, she was just a series of events. I couldn't tell you anything about her. I couldn't tell you how she would react to anything, what kind of person she is like.
But that's how Marvel writes their villains. That's like example A, and they all follow that mold.
That's how Hollywood writes villains now, because they don't know any villains. You know, and it's not to play right versus left here, but that is the way this country is. So you've got a bunch of writers who they don't know any heroes. They don't know any villains. They don't know any Marines who served. They don't know any rednecks who've actually fired a gun. They don't know any people who hunt. And yet they're writing action movies.
Right. And portraying people in a certain way.
Right. But you've never met that person. Look, the type of personality who goes and enlists in the armed forces, that's a type of personality. You know, foundationally, I'm not saying everybody is alike, but they've got a foundational template of a personality that's willing to do that. You know, heroism and selflessness, or maybe looking for adventure, or whatever motivation. There's a specific personality. You have to understand that. You can't just say this guy was in the army because he's a hero. No, you have to tell me who the fuck he is. Why a hero is an action. It's not a personality. People become heroic because of something driving them or the way they were wired. I mean, I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but
I mean, I get you. It's like they have to give us who the people. It's not just people are not just a sum of their actions. There's something that drives them to make choices, and that's what we're missing. And that's why nobody is attached to any of these characters. So I think that's the hardest part for me as a writer is when I put stuff on the page, am I communicating who this person is and the core values that they have within the decisions that they are making? So, you know, good guys, bad guys. I mean, in my story, the world itself is the bad guy, which is really not too complicated. It's like,
yeah, right.
Just existing sucks. So.
Yeah. Like somebody can go and rescue a child from a burning building for a host of different reasons, and they will do a host of different things afterwards. So just showing us what they did and say that person's a hero, maybe not. I'll tell you what, I know Jerry. I can watch one episode of Jerry Seinfeld and understand who Jerry Seinfeld is way better than the 8 hours I watched of the villain on Winter Soldier. I have no idea who that fucking person is. I watched Jerry Seinfeld go to the grocery store in one episode. I have a good idea who that guy is.
Yeah.
Because
you know what?
Seinfeld knows how to fucking
another conversation about this, and next time we're on a show together, we should. But I gotta wrap this up because we're over the 2-hour mark. I feel like we could talk about this for another hour.
You were wise to not bring it up until the end.
I had no clue. It just kind of came up. But it's how it is. So things are, and there's only one person watching. Thank you for hanging out till the end, person.
Thanks for sitting through my
Everybody else was like 2 hours, I'm done.
It's a long time to hang out. We appreciate it.
I think we had a very interesting conversation. Like we went down the rabbit hole a little bit, and I love that because again, it's like I get to find out what makes you tick. So that's cool. I really enjoyed it.
This was fun. This is a lot of fun. We've covered some interesting ground, you and I.
Right. But it's like this is kind of how this show goes. It's like it can go in a lot of different directions, and that's what I love about it. It's like you never know what you're going to get. So it's always a fun watch. So again, everybody, thank you for coming on. Doug, thank you for coming on. We got more guests next week. I'll give you more updates. Hopefully we get some books printed. Who knows? I think March 1st is when my books will be done. Hooray.
Yay!
But I think I'll be able to launch the riddle this week. So that'll be fun. So everybody can start solving that riddle and participating in that. So I digress. So thank you, everybody. And I'm going to play some ads on the way out. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me on. Talk to you later.
Doug. Bye, everybody. Oh, don't forget, next week is PromCon. So you guys can watch the all digital Comic-Con You can sit on your own couch and see all the indie goodness that's coming out. So stay tuned for that. Talk to you later. Bye.
I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah. You know I be on the way. Man on a mission, I'ma get it, you know I be on the way. Yeah, it's all hard, ain't no fear here. You ain't giving this to all, you steer clear. Never beat, I've been down and I reappear. You got some money on the line, you better put it here. Rolling in and doing that work.
America's southern border has become a war zone. Human traffickers, drug smugglers, and terrorists flow across the Rio Grande with impunity, secure in the knowledge that no one will stop them. A distant federal government lectures Americans on their privilege while punishing overworked Border Patrol agents who were helpless to stem the tidal wave of invaders and determined migrants. Second-generation Cuban-American Marcos Zamora is a military vet, more patriotic than most Americans. No longer able to ignore the chaos at his doorstep, he acts. Joined by his best friend Gus, they hit the border every night, saving lives while stopping violent drug cartels and other opportunists. The government reacts with fury at Marcos' attempts to preserve American sovereignty, deploying the full might of their enforcement agencies. But Marcos understands that the only thing the rich and powerful fear is bad publicity, and he records every encounter. Whoever he is, this private American must be stopped. Illustrated by Richard Bonk and written by Eisner winner Mike Barron, Private American is his version of Captain America, and maybe a little Punisher, taking part in this ongoing, violent, and very real battle of good versus evil in the war for American sovereignty. Grab your copy at theprivateamerican.com.
We have a secure border, and that is a priority for our administration.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz
how to do it.
hands. Jazz hands.
Have a good night.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.